All right, next we're going to talk about focal points. And what that means, it's basically where the eye is first drawn to in an image. So when you first look at an image, where do your eyes automatically go? There's a few different reasons why our eyes will land somewhere on an image. And we'll talk about three main ones. The first, again, which we just talked about, are leading lines. The second is color emphasis. And the third is tonal emphasis. Okay, I'm going to show a photograph next. And I want you to try and, when you first look at it, see where your eye first goes. See if you can just notice where it goes, okay? Okay, so for me, my eye automatically got drawn to kind of the sky / this mountain area, this part of the image essentially. Right, it happens very fast. I think I first noticed this, and then my eyes get drawn to the cliff face here, but then comes back to this part of the image. Right, it happens very quickly. So why is that? Well, in this case, we got a couple different reasons. The reason why I think our eyes generally will first go to this part of the photograph is that it's brighter. So that's where we call it a tonal emphasis. Tones meaning, is it bright or is it dark? Is it neutral? That sort of thing. So the sky is bright. It's the brightest part of the image right here. So our eyes are going to be automatically drawn to it. Another reason is our leading lines. And let me take a second here to see if you can figure out where the leading lines are in this image. So the first main kind of leading lines we see here, there's not many, but it's this part of the rock face here where it kind of curves off to the left, and it curves off to the left here. So that's kind of what I was saying. My eye was first drawn to here and then maybe over here because it's still bright, but then the lines kind of guide me back towards the sky. You could also argue that there's a couple lines right here, but really it's just kind of the general shape of this tunnel or this cave. It's just that it curves off to the left. Okay, I think that's good for this picture. Let's do the same thing for the next one. See if you can figure out where your eyes first go, where the focal point is. So this was an interesting one, because again, this was taken way before I knew anything about composition. And when it comes to I should also mention, I did not take this picture. Any pictures I show, I will probably mention that I took this picture. If I don't mention it, I did not take the picture. Yeah, I didn't know anything about composition with this picture when I took it. And now that I look at it today and I know about composition, it's a very poorly composed picture. So there isn't really a good focal point in this image. You're either going to look at this flag first or you're going to look at this flag first. That's generally going to be one of your focal points. I think when I'm recording it right now, I think my eyes got drawn to this part of this flag, this yellowish part. So what I wanted to say with this picture was that color emphasis can be a good focal point as well. Because for the most part, our background is a very neutral, dark color, right? And then we have these bright, vibrant flags. So again, we see that color emphasis, right? The color is jumping out. But again, it's also some tonal emphasis because they're brighter than the background, especially compared to this flag too. It's, there's still some color there, but it's not as bright as these two flags are. So it's not really the best composed, because if I was to ask myself, what's my subject? What is my subject in this picture? Is it supposed to be this flag, or is it supposed to be this flag, or is it supposed to be both of them? Well, either way, I didn't do a good job of taking them. Because if it was the BC flag, I would definitely, it's cut off, right? So I would want to have moved my camera down so it would be more of the center of attention. If it was this flag, I would have zoomed out a little bit or moved the camera up If it was both of them, I definitely would have needed to zoom out so neither of them got cut off. But I just wanted to show this as a learning example, but also to show color emphasis can help create a focal point. So here is another example in the Dan or Ogof caves in Wales. And I wanted to show this as an example where you can, one, it's another tonal emphasis example, but also where you could potentially have more than one focal point. So this picture is of the Angel Rock or something they call it, because right here it almost looks as if this is a statue of an angel, right? You got the robe, you kind of got the wings there. So the first focal point really should be this part of the cave. It's the brightest, right? We got that tonal emphasis, especially compared to the darkness of the cave. But also we have some color emphasis, right? With this bright color here compared to the dark of the cave. But then we have our second focal point, which is this puddle, where we can actually see the angel from another perspective. Did I even know that I was doing this when I took this picture? I have no idea. But just to show we got some color, we've got some tonal emphasis. We don't really have any leading lines. I mean, we do have just the general path of the cave leading towards the Angel Rock, but it's not really any pronounced lines, right? Other composition we've talked about, rule of thirds. Yeah, this lines up with the right third of the image, right? That vertical line. The intersection would probably be right around here where we do have some highlights in the rock. But again, it's not, the rule of thirds is just a guideline. If I tried to put like the wing, for example, in the intersection, it just would not have been a better composition, right? So you have to try and find that balance. Anything else to say about this composition-wise? Nah, it's just really to show another example of those two emphasis and that you can have more than one focal point. Ah, yes. Okay, so I included a picture of desaturating this image just to emphasize that that tonal emphasis, right? Even without the color in there or as much color, all we have left is essentially tones. This is still our focal point, and this is still our secondary focal point, just because we got those brighter tones compared to the darker cave.